She worked 50 meters from the Oval Office in the White House kitchen. An invisible woman. Right next to the most secret meetings of presidents, she prepared their meals and remained silent. She was there during Obama's term, when Trump came too. But that winter day, when Putin's urgent call came, everyone would be shocked. Welcome to Human Stories. Before we begin telling this powerful story, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from. And if you believe stories like this need to be heard, hit that subscribe button. These stories matter. In the basement of the White House, in the massive kitchen, she was the first to arrive every morning at 5:30 a.m. Maria Elena Rodriguez. 52 years old, 5 feet 2 inches tall, a woman with black hair always tied in a tight bun. Her uniform was always spotless, her shoes silent, her steps like a ghost. For 25 years, she repeated the same routine. She would arrive early, check the day's menu, prepare the ingredients, and work without making a sound. When the other kitchen staff arrived, she had already started working. While they talked, laughed, and joked around, Maria just worked. Other employees called her Silent Maria. Not with ill intent, she just spoke so little. Her English was perfect, but she didn't waste unnecessary words. Good morning. Thank you. Good evening. That was it. But there was something they didn't see. Maria's eyes. They were constantly moving. She would watch everyone coming and going in the kitchen. She would notice which advisor was tense, which secretary was anxious, which security guard was acting differently than normal. Because Maria Rodriguez wasn't just a chef. The Obama era, 2008 to 2016, Maria had been assigned to the White House during Obama's first term. Her resume was perfect. Culinary Institute of America graduate, worked in 3 different embassy kitchens, security clearance spotless. But there were missing pages in her file. From 2008 to 2016, Maria had learned the Obama family's favorite dishes. Michelle Obama's organic vegetable preferences, President Obama's favorite burger recipe, the cookies the girls loved. She would note every detail, serve perfectly, never make a mistake. But Obama never spoke directly with her. Presidents didn't come to the kitchen. Meals were carried to the upper floors and served there. Maria was fully aware of this hierarchy and was content with it. Until that October night, during the crisis with Russia. It was 2014. The Ukraine crisis was at its peak. Tense phone calls were being made between Putin and Obama. That night, Maria was preparing the next day's breakfast as usual. It was past midnight. Only security guards and a few senior advisors were there. Suddenly, rapid footsteps were heard from the Oval Office. President Obama's personal assistant rushed into the kitchen. "Is there anyone here who speaks Russian? Urgent!" Maria put down the knife in her hand. She slowly turned around. "I do." The assistant was surprised. He had never imagined that this silent kitchen worker spoke Russian. "How well?" "Well enough," said Maria, with no hesitation in her voice. 5 minutes later, Maria was stepping into the Oval Office for the first time in her life. Obama was on the phone with Putin, but there was a technical problem with the translator system. There was a critical disagreement, and every word mattered. Maria stood silently by the desk, heard every word of Putin's, and provided perfect translation to Obama. During the 20-minute conversation, Maria's Russian was at diplomatic level. She wasn't just translating words, she was conveying the intonation, the implications, the subtle threats Putin was using into English. When the call ended, Obama turned to her. "Where did you learn this Russian?" "I have a gift for languages, Mr. President." The answer wasn't sufficient, but Obama accepted it for the moment. Maria returned to the kitchen, and this incident was never discussed, but Obama's security team had taken note. The Trump era, 2016 to 2021. When Trump came to the White House, the staff changed significantly, but the kitchen workers remained the same. A new era had begun for Maria. Trump was very different from Obama. Louder, more unpredictable, more fond of hamburgers. Maria learned his habits too. His Diet Coke preference, his love of well-done steaks, his habit of asking for late-night snacks. But the Trump era was more dangerous for Maria. Because Trump, unlike Obama, sometimes came to the kitchen. The first day they met, Maria was preparing a salad. Trump had suddenly decided to come down to the kitchen with the security team chasing after him. "Who's this?" he asked, pointing at Maria. "One of our chefs, Mr. President," said a security guard. "What's your name?" "Maria Rodriguez, Mr. President." "How long have you been here, Maria?" 8 years, Mr. President." Trump looked at her for a few seconds, then got interested in something else. But that look had awakened something in Maria. There was a sign of recognition in Trump's eyes, as if he had seen her before. 2017, 2018, 2019 passed. Maria continued her same routine, but international crises occurred more frequently during the Trump era. North Korea, Iran, Russia again. And during every crisis, Maria listened more carefully. In December 2019, during Trump's return from the G20 summit, Maria had to do Russian translation again. This time, Trump was less surprised, as if he had been expecting it. "You're not my chef," he had said after the meeting. Maria had looked at him, saying nothing. "I know who you are," Trump continued. "I just work here, Mr. President." "Yes, you just work." After this conversation, Maria began to be even more cautious. The Biden era, 2021. And after when Biden became president, Maria's life changed again. Biden was calmer, more predictable. He didn't come to the kitchen, didn't ask many questions. It was a comfortable period for Maria. But in November 2021, everything changed. The Ukraine tension was at its peak. Putin was more aggressive, Biden more determined. NATO allies were nervous, Europe was worried. That November evening, Maria was doing the next day's preparations as usual. It was 11:30 p.m. The White House was almost empty. Suddenly, running footsteps were heard from the Oval Office. Biden's national security advisor burst into the kitchen. "We need a Russian translator, urgent." "You can call the service company," said the security guard in the kitchen. "We don't have time. Putin's on the line. There's a technical problem. The translator system crashed." Maria put down the towel in her hand. "I can do it." The advisor turned to her. "Who are you?" "Maria Rodriguez. I work here." "Do you speak Russian?" "Yes." "How well?" "Diplomatic level." This answer surprised everyone. For a kitchen worker to say she spoke Russian at diplomatic level was far above normal. 2 minutes later, Maria was in the Oval Office again. Biden was sitting at the desk. Around him were the Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense, National Security Advisor, and several senior officials. Everyone was tense, everyone was worried. "Putin's on the line," Biden told Maria. "Translate every word exactly. Don't leave anything out." Maria stood by the desk. She bowed her head slightly. "Understood, Mr. President." The phone rang. Biden answered. "Vladimir." Putin's voice could be heard from the phone. He was speaking Russian, his voice harsh and decisive. Maria immediately began translating. "President Putin says, 'Joe, this is my final warning. Withdraw from Ukraine or face the consequences.'" Biden responded, "Tell Vladimir that America will not back down." Maria translated into Russian. Putin's response was harsher. He says, "You don't understand. We have new systems, weapons you can't even imagine." Biden leaned forward. "What weapons? What will he do?" Maria waited for Putin's response. The Russian leader constructed a long sentence. He says, "Our hypersonic missiles can reach Washington in 20 minutes. You decide whether this needs to be tested." Everyone in the room froze. This was an open threat. Biden's voice was harsh. "Tell Vladimir we have new systems too. And we don't want to be forced to use them," Maria translated. Putin's response could escalate tensions further. But then, something unexpected happened. Putin constructed a long Russian sentence. He was speaking very fast, using slang words. Maria's translation took longer than expected. "What's he saying?" Biden said impatiently. Maria hesitated, because what Putin said was very specific. It contained details that only someone from the intelligence world could know. He says, "Do you remember the operation we met in Leningrad in 1985? Everyone was surprised. They were looking at Biden, but Biden was looking at Maria. "What operation?" Biden asked. Maria's face changed. She was no longer just a translator. There was a different light in her eyes. "Mr. President, this is a message directed at me." Everyone in the room turned to Maria. Biden stood up. "Who are you?" Maria took a deep breath. After 25 years, it was time to tell the truth. CIA Operations Officer Maria Elena Rodriguez, codename Kitchen Knife, active duty 1985 to 2001. Specialization, Soviet Union and Russia. I encountered Putin in Leningrad in 1985. He was a KGB agent then. I was a young CIA operative. Silence filled the room. No one was speaking. In 2001, after September 11th, I thought I was retired. But Langley placed me here. Observation duty. For 25 years, I've been listening to all international meetings in the White House, reporting constantly. Biden's mouth was open. For 25 years? Yes, Mr. President. I'm aware of all of Obama's Russia meetings. I listened to Trump's Putin conversations. I've reported all of your foreign policy decisions to date. The Secretary of Defense leaned forward. Does Putin know you? Yes, we worked in the same operation in 1985. He was KGB, I was CIA. We were both young. We were on opposite sides, but we know each other. Putin's voice was coming from the phone, still waiting. Maria turned to the phone, spoke in Russian. Vladimir Vladimirovich, this is Naz, Knife. I remember Leningrad. Putin's voice changed. He seemed almost surprised. He says, Maria, are you there? Yes, I've been here for 25 years. Putin laughed. Everyone on the phone could hear it. He says, so you were always there. America's biggest secret was hidden in the kitchen. Maria translated, then spoke on her own behalf. Vladimir, this game is over. You're both old. These threats are childish. Everyone in the room was shocked. The CIA agent was speaking personally with Putin. Putin's response was long. Maria translated, he says, Maria is right. We've grown old. The new generation should think differently. But I cannot back down on Ukraine. Biden intervened. Tell him we have nowhere to retreat either. Maria began to build bridges between the two leaders. She wasn't just translating, she was mediating. She understood both sides' concerns and suggested solutions. After an hour-long conversation, a temporary ceasefire agreement was reached. Conclusion. When the phone hung up, everyone in the room was looking at Maria. Biden slowly approached. Were you watching us for 25 years? I was protecting you, Mr. President. Watching is different. Protecting is different. Why didn't you tell us? There was no need. My duty was to do it silently. The National Security Advisor asked, what happens now? Maria took out a cell phone from her uniform. She dialed a short number. Langley. Kitchen Knife here. Identity compromised. Awaiting new mission orders. She hung up, looked at everyone. I guess my kitchen duty is over. Biden smiled. Maria, I want to assign you to the National Security Council as a Russia expert. Maria shook her head. Mr. President, 25 years was enough. I want to retire. Where will you go? I don't know. Maybe I'll really cook. Just cooking this time. Epilogue. The next morning, Maria came to the White House kitchen for the last time. She collected her things, left her uniform. The kitchen staff had learned her real identity. Everyone was shocked but respectful. We'll miss you, Maria, said the head chef. I'll miss you too. As Maria left the kitchen, she looked back one last time. For 25 years, this place had been her world, invisible, silent, but effective. Now she was just Maria Rodriguez, not a CIA agent, not a secret operative, just a woman who loved to cook. As she left the door, a security guard saluted her. See you around, Maria. No, said Maria, smiling. You won't see me. That's better. And so, the White House's biggest secret quietly walked out the door. Sometimes real heroes don't wear uniforms. Sometimes they work in kitchens, watch silently, and protect their countries in ways no one knows about. Maria Rodriguez was America's most powerful weapon for 25 years, and no one had noticed. Now I ask you, Have you ever learned that someone you knew was actually very different from what you thought? Share their story in the comments, because in human stories, the most powerful stories are usually hidden in the quietest people. If this story touched you, subscribe, share, and help keep these voices alive. See you in the next story. Until then, pay attention to the quiet people around you. They might be much more important than you think.